Tonight we are going to speak about the Haggada itself, and we are going to look inside. And the reason we are going to do it, and as I mentioned earlier, in front of you you have the entire structure, the entire piece of what we call the Magid, really the centerpiece of Leil HaSeder. So did you ever have this feeling while sitting down for Seder? And we discussed it last week, like just speaking about it, but today we'll really deal with it. Did you ever feel it takes ages until you get to the food?
Yeah.
It's just so long, and it's just more to read, and it's all in Hebrew never, and you need to say it. And the reason why, the question we ask is, why do I need to say it? And as we will look inside, the question will be even stronger, because the question won't only be, why am I saying it, but why am I saying it so many times? How long does it take you to tell the story of Egypt?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. If it was a business meeting, if you would give a presentation more than a minute and a half to explain what actually happens there, you're out. No one is listening to you. So how does it take so long? All of this, to say a story, in essence is, they were there, God saved them, they were out, thank you. Isn't that what Seder is about? But it takes so long, and it's so difficult to read through, and we have repetition again and again and again, and the question is, why? What is it adding? And Chazal, I know we always have in mind that they wanted to make our life miserable. That's not true. Maybe during the Maral specifically, we can say that it is true, but other than that, it's just not true. They try to make life easier and simple, and they want us to understand what's going on. When things become more complicated, I understand less, not more. So why do I go through all of this process? Today we'll try to answer that question, and I hope to create structure in order to what seems to be a very messy situation. So now let's start. Okay, so the beginning of the Haggada, and you see in front of you on the top right side, Halachma, and this is the bread our forefathers ate. Why do we start with that? So the children will see. It's like the crayon. So don't bring crayons, because that's muktzah, you'll get into trouble. So you have halachmanya. I'll try to give a different answer, which is, the next verse is kol dichfin yeteh ve'yichol, kol ditzrich yeteh ve'yifsar, meaning anyone that is in need should come and eat with us. Everyone that doesn't have where to do his Seder should be with us. And when you invite people, so sometimes you do a dessert reception, but usually you invite people for the meal. If they're needy and they don't have where to go, you invite them in the beginning. It's not polite to invite them after you finished eating and you tell them, now have the rest in the kitchen. So before you start your main course of the Haggada, the centerpiece, you invite people. Okay, so we invited people, they are here, very good. So we start. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol haleilot, and everyone is asking questions. What's the next bar we have? Avadim hayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim. So now, what I want you to do is the following. You have 3 crayons. One of them will symbol questions. Every time you will see a question, you will mark it with that color. One of them will symbol the story of going out of Egypt, and one of them will be the praise of God for taking us out of Egypt. Okay, so question, story, praise. So clearly Manishtana is a series of questions. You don't need to mark all of it, you can mark the beginning, but clearly we start with a question. And here Michael comes in what you said. Why do we start with a question? Exactly, so why did I start my class with a question? Because it creates interest. You want to know what you are going to stand in front. We want to create curiosity. We want to create people that are eager to learn. So we open with a question. Okay, if we go again to business. Do you want to know why this presentation that I'm now going to give you will change your life? Okay, I want to hear, I want to know. Do you have a good answer to this ask questions and no one has an answer about. We want people to be excited, so we start with a question. Great. And after we created the question, which is why is this night different? What is the answer? Why is this night different? Because we went out of Egypt and Avadim Ayinu, exactly. So now we tell the story. So we tell the story of Avadim Ayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim v'yotzienu Hashem Elokeinu misham. What type of story are we telling? And now to explain the question better, I'll skip to the next story. Where is the next story that we see? If you move to column number 2, the third paragraph, Mitchila of Avodah Zarah Hayu Avotenu. Right? That's the second story. Where do we start from? Lavan. Okay? In the beginning, our forefathers, Abraham and his parents, all of them were idol worshippers. So that's the next story. So what's the difference between Mitchila of Avodah Zarah Hayu and Avadim Ayinu leparo?
One's the backstory, the history before.
So,
how we got there.
So answer number 1 is, I told you the history, but when you really want to understand something, you go to the root of it. So I go even backwards. Very good.
Avadim Ayinu is the physical slavery, where we got Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah, that's spiritual, has nothing to do with the physical slavery.
So we have 2 answers. Answer 1 is, in the beginning we tell you, you were in Egypt and you left. That's only a physical redemption, and it tells you where you were. In the second part, first of all, we tell you how you got there, and we speak maybe about the more deeper meaning of what we are discussing, which is the spiritual change that you went through. In the beginning, you were idol worshippers. Come, sit down, Alan. Take a chair. In the beginning, we were idol worshippers, and now, where are we? Where are we now? Very good. So where does this story end?
It doesn't, because it carries on into the future.
Alan, you need a page. And crayons. Yeah, streak. Of course it's fun. So now, we have a story. What is a story? Find the story. Where does the story end?
Well, if it continues on, it would go through all of Tzei
Okay, so option number 1, we go through Tzei Mad, which will be in the 3 paragraphs underneath. Tzei Mad, and then you go through all that story. That's an option. Another option. Where does the story end?
Next year in Jerusalem.
Next year in Jerusalem, which is
At the very end.
the end of the day. Okay. I want to claim it's just a very short story. Look inside, I'll tell you what I see. In these days, we are no longer of the Avodah Zarah. That is the story of leaving Egypt. From the spiritual side. It's a very short story, but it tells you everything, right? In the beginning we were of the Avodah Zarah, we were with Lavan, now we are close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and I don't need to give you what happened in the middle because I told you already. I added it started earlier, and I told you that the main concept of leaving Egypt is not the fact that you are no longer slaves, but the fact that you are now close to God.
So what do you do with the word Shana Amar? Because usually what happens is the word Shana Amar, that whatever's going to follow is the proof of what you were just saying before.
So how is that the proof? Tell me how the next pasuk is a proof. This is a workshop type of share. I'm not giving all the answers.
Well, that's why I said it continues on, because...
Yeah, no spoon feed.
Well, that's why I said it may continue on to the end of Selamad, because it just continues to go through, because you have Shana Amar, and it gives you the background of...
Who is saying it? I want to claim that I disagree with you, Jeremy.
Right.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
No.
I think you're right, but I'm disagreeing, because I'm bringing my mahala.
Right.
But who is saying the next verse? Yoshua.
Right.
Where is Yoshua speaking?
He's already in Eretz Yisrael.
And he is saying to you, Vayomer Yoshua el kolam, כה אמר השם אלוקי ישראל, בעבר הנהר ישבו אבותיכם מעולם.
Right.
So, Yoshua is telling them now that all the stories that came to Mitzrayim, and eventually his point is, and we are here today. Like the proof is from Yoshua to tell us now Yoshua is speaking, we are in the land, and to tell you, and we see from Yoshua that the history is connected to it. We are given the piece of history that we are missing, right? We started in Avadim Hayinu, and we ended that these days we are now out of Egypt, right? And now I tell you, Vayomer Yoshua el Kolam, what did he tell them? All the story from Abraham until Yaakov uvanav yerdu Mitzrayim. What happens after Yaakov uvanav yerdu Mitzrayim? I do not need to tell you. You know it already. Avadim Hayinu, and now we are not. Okay? Now, why do I claim that Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah is a new story? Because if you look in the Seder and in the Haggada, there's something very strange. Every once in a while, we stick in the middle some praise. Now, if you would have wanted to structure the story, what would you do?
Narrative first, praise God.
Narrative, and even beginning, middle, and praise. Here, look how it works. Avadim hayinu leparo b'Mitzrayim. Very good. And then we say that you need to learn Torah all night. Great. Because we tell you in the middle of the first paragraph, and even if all of you are clever and smart and you know the Torah, you still need to tell it. Then I told you 2 stories about the fact that old people and sages are really still learning. I'm proving my point. Then I say, Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, Baruch Shenatan Torah L'Amo Yisrael, Baruch Hu. What happened? Wait a second. When I hear Baruch HaMakom Baruch Hu, what do I say? A praise. And in my mind I'm saying, Baruch HaMakom She'evianu Lesayem et Haggada. We have finished. And now comes a Knedelach. You praised. Stop. You finished. I always find it difficult, also in my own shiurim. Do you ever know the rabbi, and I'm feeling free to say it because it's true also for me, the rabbi that does not know how to end, and Yiratzan that we'll arrive to Jerusalem, and not to a regular Jerusalem, but a very special Jerusalem, and all of us should be here, as we said earlier, and this and that and the other, and we should merit, and it just, you praised, you finished, 4 minutes is great for drasha, come down, we'll continue as davening. But no, we continue. And now what happens after this praise? Arba banim. What are arba banim? What color?
Question. Wrong question.
Why questions?
Because we say, right, the Chacham Mahu Omer, right, Rasha Mahu, everything is...
What would he say? What would he say? What do you answer them? If you answer them, that means that they asked a question. Or one of them did not ask a question, so you create a question for him and you answer it. So, again, we started Manishana, a question. Then we told a story, we had praise. Now it seems to be going over again. We're starting again with questions. Then we continue to Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah, which is again a story. And then what will happen on the next paragraph? Any guesses? Praise. Why? What does it say? Baruch Shomer Avtachato LeYisrael. And again I hear the word Baruch, and I want to say Baruch Ata Hashem Elokeinu Le'olam Borei Pri Hagafen. That's the end of the Magid. That's what I have in mind. But the Baruch again, and it becomes longer, right? And you start singing, we continue with the praise. It's not only once, it's every year, and every year God saves us, and the praise continue and continue. And as you wanted to finish, what comes next? A story. But here now we have a chidush. It's a story, but what do we have inside the story already? Anyone notice? Ma bikesh, what does the word ma represent? A question. So we had question, story, praise. Now we have question and story. Okay, so go out and learn and find out, and we start learning. Vayagor Sham, we take all the psukim, we break them down. How do we learn each and every pasuk? What do we learn from it? How do we understand it? Okay, we continue. So we have stories and we have questions and more questions. Then we turn the page. I'm skipping a lot. And we finish in the beginning of the second column with all of the makot that occurred on the sea and how many makot did the Egyptians really have, 10 or 50 or 200 or 250, and how do you learn it? You finish all the learning, and now comes praise. What is a praise? Kama ma'alot tovot lamakom aleinu, and you start praising again. And here the son asks you, Abba, you told me the story once. Then you said it again. Then we sang a couple of songs. Then you told it the third time in a really long and boring way. We praised God again. Can we finally eat? And what is the answer? No, I still need to explain to you. Rabban Gamliel היה אומר, כל שלא אמר שלושה דברים אלו בפסח. I'm telling you, what is the essence of story? It's not a story in the regular way, but I'm telling you what is Pesach about, which is in essence a story, right? The story is to tell you what Pesach is about. And now I'm telling you again, what is Pesach? If you do not say Pesach, Matzah Umaror, you didn't understand Pesach. This is a story of Pesach. You need Pesach, Matzah, Umaror. And after we had the story, what comes next?
Praise.
What's the next that we have? Pesach Shayu Aboten. Al Shuma. What was it for? And again, Matzah Al Shuma. We go to questions. Pesach Al Shuma, Matzah Al Shuma, Maror Al Shuma. And then what happens next?
You're going to get the praise again.
Where do you see the praise? Very good. Therefore, we must praise. I know you must praise because you told me that the first 3 times. And you praised, and you sang, and you performed. And when does it? Why is it necessary to have so much?
Well, we have that principle of
I agree. But then still the structure should have been beginning, let's say question, then tell all of the stories that you want to say, and praise in the end. Why is it? Okay, so could be an answer, and I agree with the point that you're trying to say, Alan, which is when you tell the story in a regular way, it's boring. So you add songs in the middle, you add, okay, we'll go in that direction. And we'll need to explain why the kids need jobs. Okay, so I'll go your direction and then I'll go a different one. Okay? So then we praise again, and then after we praise so much, we go into the Hallel, Halleluka, Hallelu Avdei Hashem, and finally we get to the Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech HaOlam Borei Pri HaGefen. We end it. Now, if it would take as long as it took us to go through it, it would have been fine. But we are going to try and explain why is all of this necessary. So now, go back and look at what in the lovely process you did with your crayons. Hopefully you didn't draw people and flowers and sun, you actually marked. And so what do we see? We have a clear structure. We can nearly say, this is what I'll try to claim, and this is something that I heard by Rav Rimon from the Gush. The Haggada is clearly repeating itself 4 times. Why am I saying that? Because it's true that we want to make things interesting, but when you can find 3 main characters for each part, and each part seems to be ending with a praise, which is a good thing to end with, so we could definitely try and say that there are 4 parts to the Haggada, and they all have these 3 components. So now what will we need to explain? The number 4 I'm not going to explain. Why will I not explain the number 4? I need to ask you your name because I didn't. Susan. Okay, so
4 is a theme in Haggada.
Where do you see 4?
Well, you just see different, right, 4 cups, 4 questions.
So the number 4 fits into the Haggada. You want to know why 4? Don't ask me. So so many books were written on it. So many votes. Yeah, you can find it online anywhere. It interests you. You can search. You can find why 4. Okay? If anyone says the forefathers, go to a different website. Okay? So now, but the number 4, okay? So it's good. So there are 4 parts, like the Manishtana, like the Arba Kosot, like the 4 sons, okay? So you're good. So, again, I didn't... So you have 4 parts, okay. Now, the other thing we notice, yes, Alan? Me? Yiddish? No.
Also, for my grandma gets my number, she's always in the $4 and upstairs. I'm like, $4 in the drugstore. It's the part of the word fit. She go on the right path. Sometimes she can get $4. Like,
you 400 would have worked the same. Okay, very good.
And it ends in a 4. And it ends in a 4.
So now we continue. So we see that we have this structure. So now we need to ask 2 questions. First of all, why divide it into 4 and what does each part add? The second interesting thing is, did you notice that the questions are as if pressed down through the process, right? They start before the story, then they are within the story, then they're after the story. It's as if someone is just, it's like a food processor, right? You have a structure, and as you continue, it goes down. It's very nice. It's very interesting when you see it. So first of all, before I start explaining, I want to say a praise of Rav Rimon, and just a bit about the Gush. This is something that, without having that sort of taking everything and putting it on one page and trying to look at a structure, it would never happen. In your Haggada, it's so many pages, it's so difficult to see a scene. It just shows that sometimes to understand something you need to go backwards and look at it. Is there a pattern? Is there a way? Is there a process? And in everything it's true. It could be in just learning Chumash. It could be even learning Mishnah. Yeah, when you learn one Mishnah, it's difficult to understand. You look at the chapter, you look at the context of a Masechta, you understand. And it could be also with mechanics, right? You see one piece, it doesn't work. You look at you're a doctor, you see one problem, it doesn't make sense. You do other tests, you get a bigger picture, you can see the results. While learning, we need to use that process. A lot of times when kids are young, including myself in school, every Rashi, every dot, every word, you are so involved in seeing every word, you don't even notice that there are words next to it. Yeah. So because of that, it's important to go back and get this overview. So we have this structure. And the question is, why? Why break it? Why do we need each and every one of the story? And here, let's start with what Alan said. Alan mentioned, not about his grammar. Alan mentions that a lot of Pesach is about creating interest. And creating interest is important for us because we want to get people involved. This is not a night of just requiring knowledge, but also getting the feeling. Seder night is something that you want people waiting for. You have lots of customs, right? In some of the families there is a show, or there's a custom to one of the guys, or there are special dishes for the Seder nights. When you take them down, everyone is excited because it's a special thing for Pesach, or everyone is afraid that they'll break the special thing for Pesach. But you want to create the excitement around the Seder. So now Alan wants to suggest you want to make it exciting, you need changes, you need things to happen. So here is where I say that I agree with you and I do not agree with you, and maybe you do agree with me with how I present. These days people think that in order for things to be interesting, you need to break them up to tiny parts and give it once at a time, because otherwise the kid loses it. Yeah. I do not like that method. Because it's not that difficult to concentrate. Meaning, it can be difficult for some people. It's also difficult for adults to concentrate. I find it difficult to concentrate. But breaking it down to small units doesn't always help. If the units aren't interesting, they could be as small as possible and still not be interesting. Well, say maybe in your direction, and this is the way Rav Rimon takes it, and I'll take it in a different way, but I'll say what he mentions is that we have different ways of giving through information. It's not about breaking it to chunks, but giving it through in different ways so different people can connect to it. So we have people that are more connected down to us. You'll speak to them about spirituality, you know, their light and their Kabbalistic and numerological values and everything is spiritual. They tell, leave me alone, I do not understand these things. So you tell them the story, and you want to create interest, so you ask the questions to get them interested, you tell them the story, and you finish. That is the first part. Questions create interest, we tell the story of how we left Egypt, we praise, they understand. Very good. But there are people that is not enough for them. Why did we leave Egypt? Why were we there to start with? Just the story is not enough. What? God took us out just for the physical side of things? Why does God care if we are there or not? So some people tend to be more connected to the spiritual side. So we tell them, we go through the same process, but we tell them what happens spiritually. In the beginning we are idol worshippers. God has a bigger purpose for us, that we'll be close to Him. Therefore, He took us out of Egypt. What we told you, this has a meaning, this has an end, this has a purpose. Okay, so that's that type of person. There are people, though, that cannot stand stories. They just do not like them. If the Rebbe in school starts telling a story, he puts his head down and he goes to sleep. Stories is what my grandmother used to tell me. Yeah, well, why am I here for? What? So what suits that kind of person?
Yeah, straight to the point.
How would you?
Like, this is what we do, this is how we do it.
This is where we learn it from. So what part of the Haggada is that? Seulmat, meaning I'm not going to give you the answers, but you go out and find for yourself. That kind of person, we don't even give him the questions. We allow him to have the questions, and he, through his questions, will go through the process. Ma bikesh Lavan, what did Lavan do? So my next conclusion is this, the next conclusion is that. That is
we're doing without the questions.
the questions is the process of the story. You do not need to intrigue him for him to ask for the story, but he has already the questions. He wants to find the answers. He's a person that is capable of learning. So he goes ask, Seulmad, go out and learn, and he asks the question. That's that type of person. Now that process is much longer, right? When you come to your kid and you tell him the answer is 7, after you calculated everything, that is short. When your kid needs to understand how to do the equation, that takes longer. So Tzeulmad is much longer than Avadim Ha'inu, or than Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah, because the person is getting to the point by himself.
It's like an intellectual, a more intellectual
Exactly.
kind of approach.
I couldn't have said it better. So this is an intellectual process that the people are going through. So now, what is the fourth part? So what happens in Rabban Gamliel? What?
Straight halacha.
Just, what do I need to do? Leave out the stories, leave out why. I just want to know what to do.
Opposed to the Talmud, the whole secretary.
Exactly. And that kind of learning also suits much more the showing part. I'm sorry, I'll borrow it for a second. Yeah, but what is this? This is used for this. Yeah, Pesach, yeah, you don't live the Zohar, so it's a bad example. But Matzah, why do we use this? I'll tell you what we use it. This is a hand-on learning. Like, this is the item, this is what we do with it. Goodbye.
So there's something for everybody.
So we are not saying the same story. We are saying the same story again, but we are giving it over to different people, because how many sons do we have around the table? 4. Now, I can be a real annoying rabbi and show you how each one of the processes connects to one of the 4 sons. It doesn't work that way. I can force it into it. You can sit down and connect them. I just don't think that's the real concept. Like, if you want to go the extra mile, it could be done, but I don't think it's a necessary connection. But there's something for everyone. After there's something for everyone, and everyone is connected, and everyone has a praise, we continue to the next level, which is a praise of everyone, which is Hallel Mitzri, what we call the short Hallel, Halleluka, Hallelu et Hashem, Hallelu. Why did I lose it? Hallelu Abdei Hashem, Hallelu. Yeah, and we can start the Hallel now. Why? Because now everyone has a piece, so we can continue. Very nice, right? This is a very nice structure. It's very logical. This is Rav Rimon's process. I like it a lot. I have one problem with it. This structure is great. I'm not saying anything against it. When I looked for the question, my problem was, why say it again? Why say things again and again and again and again? So this is an answer, but still, so maybe we should have a Haggada with 4 options and choose your option. Who said that I have all 4 kinds of people around my table? And especially when people mostly read it and not learn it, and if you don't turn it into experience anyway. So I say all of it. So it's great that the sage just gave us the tools to do it, but they should say, this is what we work with. Now each one pick what you want to pick and use it. So I want to go maybe through a bit of a different process while going through this. If we look at the end of the Haggada, on the last column, the second paragraph, we say, Bechol dor vador chayav adam lirot et atzmo כאילו hu yatsa mimitzrayim. What does this mean?
We should imagine we were there.
We should imagine in each generation as if we were there. Why?
So that we have that relationship where we imagine God's taken us out. We're increasingly free.
So we want to go through the process by ourselves. Is it easy to do such a thing?
No.
It's so difficult that the Rambam in Hilchot Chametz U'Matzah, when he discusses this, he changes the language. What does he say? Bechol dor vador chayav adam leharot et atzmo. To show himself. You can't really see yourself there, but you need to act it out. Show yourself. Try to convince yourself that you are there. Really seeing yourself there, that's so difficult. Why is this at the end of the Haggada? Because it's
the hardest to do.
Okay, good answer. Any other answer?
It's what connects everyone's experience of doing the Haggada. At the end of the day, the whole purpose of learning it in different ways is so that the message that you take from it at the end is to internalize it for yourself. Everyone has to internalize it in their own way. So you still have to internalize it.
So it's relevant to everyone.
Right.
Now, that answer, Susan, I like a lot. I have one problem with it. And it's not with the answer. If we explain like we explained before, so we are in a problem. Why are we in a problem? Because if you look at the Haggada, the praise comes after Bechol dor vador. And if Bechol dor vador really suits everyone, and we explain that each part of the story belongs to someone else, so only one type of person needs to show himself, is if he left Egypt, and this seems like something that is relevant for everyone. So either the structure is wrong, or we need to use a different understanding. What else comes in the end? So it could be the tough things you put in the end. What else comes in the end? You give a task list. Which task do you put in the end?
Conclusion. The
conclusion.
Summary.
So I think Suzanne and Michael, you are putting it together. It's a conclusion it's something that connects everyone together, and it's a task that cannot be done before you perform all the ones below. Right? It's like my son Yonatan, he puts together a puzzle, so he wants to put a specific piece, but if all the rest that connect to it are not there, so it's not connected to everything. You need to complete the rest in order to put a specific piece. So something in the end could also mean you do all until here, so now you can really use it. Let's take that understanding and try to work with it. If our goal through Pesach is to really feel as if we left Egypt, what are our challenges?
You feel too comfortable.
Okay, in Egypt it was not fun and we are comfortable. Good. What else?
It's more than just not comfortable. They were slaves. We're not slaves.
We are in a different place. We're in a different situation. Agreed.
We're trying to different. A lot of people say that pun intended, not in its narrow sense. If you understand what we're trying to really mean, constraints and what makes or all that, you can have try not the physical try. So you can't see yourself makes
Okay, so Bechol Dor Vador means in every generation also there's a different Mitzrayim, there's a different Egypt, there's a different place where you are stuck in. Agreed.
We haven't got, the kids haven't got the facts in hand to read the kids. Young children don't have the factual knowledge to be able to.
So some of it we just do not know or do not have, or we cannot imagine even how it was. Very good. What else?
There was a lot of experiences of the team and all the other things that went along with Yetziat Mitzrayim, all the plagues. And there's a lot of things that you can learn, you can understand intellectually, but you really don't. You haven't seen. There's things you just have to experience to truly understand them.
Very good. So now let's see, and this is what I want to claim. The Seder is a time-traveling machine for our family. You enter it, a regular person, in the year 2013, and you finish it in Egypt. It could be your own Egypt, it could be ancient Egypt, but the Seder is created to get you into that time-traveling machine and make it all the way through to Bechol Dor Vador, see yourself in as if you were in Egypt. So how do we do it? The first thing, when you want a person to move from point A to point B and get there and explain to him how to do it, the most important thing, especially if we are speaking about spiritual levels, is structure. A person cannot jump. A person cannot leap. It should be a stage after stage, a process that a person is going on to. You know why you find it difficult to be in Egypt? Because it's like this, and I'm sorry David on the camera, yeah? But you are here. You're in the year 2013, okay? Nothing happened. Imagine that this is the beginning of the Seder. Nothing happened. You entered your house, you opened the door, now you're told, now you are in Egypt. What happened? What changed before I opened the door and after I opened the door? Why is it different than yesterday when I went to work? It's not even a Shabbos, I'm used to rest, it's just midweek. Why should I feel in Egypt? Why should I feel that this is relevant? Yeah, you know, when you do a guided imagination, first of all, breathe, empty your mind, arrive there, understand where you are. So all of that is done before the Magid, right? We have a Kiddush, understand the concept of the days that you are within. Even Urchat, and this is not the simple understanding. Don't quote me in the Seder as if I'm saying this is a simple understanding. Why do we wash our hands? So for the questions maybe, am I out of time? No. Okay. No, I was afraid. I should have it in. So the reason is, if we now having some kind of vegetable, so it's good to wash our hands, but also to rinse, to wash, forget everything you were. Wash. A clean slate. Reopen. And then, what do we do next? We eat the karpas, okay? Why do we eat the karpas? Go to Adam's shir, okay? then we do a yachatz. Yeah, again, this is not a clear understanding, but we are giving it like a Hasidish aspect, yeah? Break everything that you know, you washed, you clean, break what you know, enter the process, and now you can start. So you are now in an easier state. And this is something that if you're the one giving the Seder, or one of the people, this is what you want to happen. You want to create that atmosphere. We are leaving who we are right now. We are forgetting everything. Not necessarily through the actions, but that's the atmosphere you want to create. And now you can start the story. And now we start with levels. So it's the easiest thing to understand that we were slaves and now we are not. So the first stage always needs to be the one that is most understandable. You cannot go to students in medicine, so I was told, not that I'm a doctor, and explain to them how to now operate on a person. You teach them the structure, you show them what they know, they learn biology, they learn anatomy, they learn what's going on there. That's what happened. Show me the patient. What's the case? Then we go into the more sophisticated organs, but you can still see it, you can still feel it. Okay, we are speaking now about spirituality. It's still connected to the realm where you know about it, but we are moving a step forward. We are understanding that the process wasn't a regular process, but a process that involves spirituality, process, a mean to an end. After we did that, and for that, we start with questions, because we want you to get into it. We want you to ask a question. We want you to understand it. After you went through that, you arrive at the Tzol Mad. Now already, you're under control. So you start feeling it. You start understanding where you are. But there's a secret. That secret is what Rav Kook speaks about in certain places about Irat Hashem, yeah, that it's something that I cannot teach you, I cannot tell you. When I want you to feel something, I cannot tell you what I feel. I can, but I won't create any feeling within your mind. Maybe you'll be envy, maybe you'll hope to feel that feeling, but you won't be able to feel it. How do I get you to feel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, or to just experience something that I eat or drink? I let you experience it by yourself. I give you a hands-on experience, okay? So that's what I do. So if until now I told you, if I want you to understand something, you need to experience it from your side of things. And that's why now you are not told a story, you are telling a story. You are doing tzeh ulmad. It's true that we give you a structure from the Sifri of a process of asking questions and getting answers. But this is an opening for you to stop using the stories that is told and finding out what do you think about this process. What are the questions that I am asking? I'm not given the questions anymore. I am now creating the questions. I am asking them, because then the answers that I will receive are my answers. If I would give now only Rav Rimon's shiro, you wouldn't have seen me so excited, because it's not mine. Once you add your own, so now I feel close. Now it's mine. Now I'm connected to it. So that's why I ask a question and I answer. This is already part of the process. That takes time. That takes effort. Seder is supposed to take time because you need to get into it. If you rush through the Magid, so your Shulchan Aruch will be in Toronto. If you take it slowly, you can find yourself eating in Egypt. Not too slowly, don't kill your family, yeah? But if you take the time and you allow yourself to get into it, you'll feel in Egypt. You know, the Yemenites, they sit on the floor, they have a table made out of chasa, lettuce, like zamara, they sit on kushet. Now, it's not about the minhagim, of course that's a custom, but you don't feel as if it's a regular night. You cannot feel in Toronto in such a situation. So if for your family it's good, do costumes, do questions, write poems, yeah. Create that feeling that it's a different experience, you're in a different place now. When it becomes your own process, a process of yourself, of your family, each one prepares something of himself as a Seder. Now it's you learning. Now you can read quickly through the Tzol Mad. You can say, this year Tzol Mad, I'll explain to you more or less what it's about. It's about asking your own questions and finding your own answers. So instead of it taking ages, we will now read quickly, and then we will do our own Tzol Mad. Before we continue, each each one will tell us what he went out and found. How does he connect? How is it his own process? And we'll go through the process of Tzulmat. So we fulfill our obligation of reading from the Haggada, but we also understand where it comes from. After that, you're already in an entire different level, which is, and this is what Rabban Gamliel is telling you. If you are now sitting and you do not see in front of you a Pesach, Matzah, Umaror, you're not Yotzei Yedei Chovav Pesach. By now, when you see Zazra, you're asking Al Shuma, why is this in front of me? You can really envision it. It's there. You see the Korban. You see the letters. You see the matzah. And you're asking, why is it doing it? The questions come only afterwards because you are living it right now. There's no time to be told the questions or to ask the questions. You're already in reality, right? And in reality, you get the patient and then you ask what's wrong with him. You're not given the questions and then see the person. When you get the questions before the problem comes, you're good. But usually in reality, you're attacked by reality. Boom. Pesach Matzah Umaror. It's here. Now, just the same. Why am I here? Why is Egypt so close? What's going on here? When a process like this takes place, then each and every one of the people in the Seder is in a situation of Bechol Dor Vador Chayav Adam Lirot Et Atzmo Kilu Yatza Mitzrayim. He is there. Because he was told the story, and then he was given the tools to ask a question and find his own story within it. If it's finding his own Egypt, or finding that Egypt, and creating the feelings that the family now, my feeling is always when you get to Nirtzah and you open the door for Eliyahu, it's not even as much if Eliyahu will come in or not, but suddenly you feel as if something has changed. Like, I remember at home, like the feeling was, until now, it was like this bubble, like no one could come in, and like something was burst, like you suddenly shake up, like where am I? That's it, like it should be intense, not in a bad way, but like gripping, you're waiting, like the food is part of the process, because you continue speaking, but now you're already there, so you can sit down for the meat, like it's supposed to grab you. And then when you are really in Egypt, you can say Hallel HaMitzri. You can say Hallel like in the night that they left Egypt. Yes, how do you say Hallel at night? Because usually you cannot say Hallel at night. What is the answer? Because you are now really leaving Egypt. You are saying it with the current time. But you need to be Bechol B'dor B'dor. You need to be there in order to feel it. And this is a process that the Maggid is taking us through. And the reason we have an ending every time is because we are told, you cannot just jump into it. If I'll tell you all the story and tell you this is a conclusion, you won't be there. So let's go one step at a time. Feel it, understand it, point. Understand the deeper concept? Great. Find your own meaning? Great. Now that you are there, you can say the Hallel.
Whether or not you even be allowed to say.
And this is a process that the Maggid is taking. This is why we need this to happen one after the other. So now this is what I wanted to give over. But if I may, and again, here I do have a bit of experience. If you'll allow me, I'll share with you a few ideas that can help it happen. So first of all, as we said, a play, acting, a show is always good. Especially if they are younger kids and you get costumes for them and they're excited, it's contagious. It's good. That's point number one. When you do these things in Seder night, everyone leaves their impatience and their cynicism. In Hebrew you say Shemishu Tzini. Yeah, did I say correctly? You leave it outside. This is about feeling it. When you feel it, you might look ridiculous, but you'll feel it. You leave it outside. That's what you try to do. Like we are now together and everyone is welcome and we are in it. Another thing that helps is, as we say, when people prepare what they want to say during the Seder. And some things that I saw that people do, which is very interesting, usually there's a Orech HaSeder, like the person that leads the Seder. A lot of what you can do for Pesach sometimes takes place after Pesach. I know families that the Orech HaSeder, or the parents or whoever will, so after the Seder they would collect the Divrei Torah that everyone said. Also if people didn't write down, they would sum up for themselves the ideas that the kids made. And they would put it in a file in the computer. They would write down who was there for that Seder. And they would save it. And that way they would do it each year. And then let's say every 5 years you create your own Haggada. You have a Haggada, and you have the family's Divrei Torah. It's no longer, you're not anymore reading a Haggada of the Malbim or the Liao Kitov or Soloveitchik, which are all great. But when you open a Haggada and you say, oh, this is a Dvar Torah that my kid said when he was 7, it's a different feeling. When after 20 years, you have, I prepared this year Dvar Torah, which is the exact opposite of what I said 15 years ago. It creates a feeling before Pesach, like what will come up of this year? How will things change? What will be different? It's about, again, setting the table. Last year was the first Seder we did at home. So Michal, my wife, she put a blue tablecloth and a brown runner in the middle, and me and Yonatan collected stones from the side. The whole table was like Kriyat Yam Suf. So you had the sea and you had the sand in the middle, and we took all of Yonatan's animals and people from the Fisher Prize and they walked in the middle. Now it sounds ridiculous, it's just setting the table. But it changes the atmosphere, it's a small thing. According to the Rambam, we weren't yet say the Chavak, because you need to speak about what happened in the night of the 15th, so maybe Kriyat Yam Suf is later, but it's about creating these things, creating that feeling that we are now in a bubble. This is what the Maggid is creating. A lot of times we don't have patience, so we will run through. But again, this is a tool given to us to create that atmosphere. And again, we spoke about last week. How many times a year do you get that option? To have an educational process within your family, you hand it out to you. It's written down. Everyone has to sit down and listen to you. So use it. Make it meaningful. Make it interesting, as Alan said. Don't be boring. Just reading through it slowly, everyone will be fed up. But if you prepare a joke for each part, you prepare a riddle for each part, you prepare something fun, so people get into it, and they won't want the Maggid to end. Some of them will. They'll be hungry. We need to be ready. But generally the bubble will exist, and that is what we want to create. That we will actually understand the process that we went through. We'll actually understand how lucky we are, and usually to understand how lucky you are, the best thing that you want to do is through the friends, through the family, through the people you're gathering with. And that is a very easy and good way, not easy necessarily, but it's given to us to create that feeling. I hope you enjoyed this, and it should be a meaningful seder. It should be a powerful one.